Hello, Scott here, and welcome to yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. And today's unboxing is going to be a game that is well over a year in its creation since the Kickstarter finally fulfilled. Minor setbacks occur as they tend to do with large projects such as this. But a couple weeks ago, we received shipping notifications that it had finally been set up to ship out to all of the backers, and mine has finally arrived. So, without going into too much detail before opening it, I think what we'll do with this one is just unbox it and then let it start to explain itself as we take the items out. This one is going to be a big one because this is one that I went all in for a variety of reasons. Most of them, personal to a certain degree, and we'll explain that as we go along. But without further ado, Coleman Camping Steak Knife. No scars as of yet. And let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. All right. And through. And all right. All right. So this one I'm going to be a little bit careful with because I don't know if there's any personal information on the inside, but ooh, there we go. All right, set this aside, place this down. Okay, it's like Christmas morning. And go ahead and unlock this. Ooh, and looks like I got it on the right side here. I'll go ahead and pull this back out and kind of see if I can get this front and center for all to see. And okay, so what we have here is the Torchbearer Second Edition limited edition Game Master set. This has pretty much, it's been a while, everything that is involved in second edition that is going to allow you to run the game and then some. So Torchbearer is a game that I'm familiar with. I'm sure many people are. Some people have played it. Some people have strong opinions for and against. Myself, I don't have either at this time because I've never played in it. So therefore, I don't really think I can provide one. But it's an interesting game from what I have read and looked up. Second edition kind of, to me, sounded like a better entry point than going forward with first edition. And probably one of the reasons why I went all in, as did some other people that I know, is because it comes highly recommended by my game master for the Ash game I'm involved in, Andy Markham, and who has sworn that at some point in time that he will definitely run us through this. But as you can see, I mean, even there's no denying this is a beautiful, beautiful box set. We'll kind of set it on the side here. We have a nice little picture of a Viking ship. Hold that in. Oh, and then we have the back here. Definitely something that you would want to display. Torchbearer Game Masters Edition by Thor Olafsrud. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. And Luke Crane. And we'll kind of pull this over that way. Some more Celtic symbolry or symbols. My grasp on the English language, as you probably have found out, is not perfect, but I struggle with it. So anyways, so I'm just going to go ahead and just briefly, there's a lot to digest here, so I'm just going to kind of maybe take a quick look at each little bit in here to show you what's involved in this set and call it a day for this particular unboxing. But I'm going to go ahead and set this over to the side here and go ahead and pull out the first book. So what we have here is the Dungeoneers Handbook. So I would imagine this is the player's handbook, if to kind of simplify the term. But yeah, the Dungeoneers Handbook, Torchbearer Second Edition. Wonderful cover. Looks like some sort of magic user and some sort of fighter who is coming in contact with some sort of monstrosity deep within the bowels of the earth. Take a look on the back. Torchbearer, a role-playing game of desperate adventure. Adventure is a dirty word in these lands. You're a scoundrel, sword for hire, villain, wastrel, criminal, a cutthroat. You've come to this place because you have no other options but to make your own fortune in a world that shuns and fears you. There's naught for you in this world save blood and treasure, no inheritance, no dowry, no place on the farm, not even a job. A life of adventure is all you've got. If that means delving into ruins of long-dead civilization and slaying a dragon or two, so be it. At least you'll live it up before the end, and who knows? Maybe you'll score big and carve out a stronghold of light against the vast, weird, dark after all. The Dungeoneers Handbook contains everything necessary to describe your scabrous vagabonds and torchbearer, how to make them, their abilities, nature, wises, traits, skills, inventory, magic, advancements, and level benefits. All these can be found within. This book also contains a reference list of gear, early morning, skills, traits, spells, and evocations for your edification. And, it's one thing you can definitely say, regardless of how you feel about the game itself, is it's already starting out to be a very beautiful book. Well, Anatomy of an Adventurer. Now, this right here, this may be hanging out with editors too long, but the title aspect of this particular page, how it kind of bleeds off to the right and left, it's not something that would definitely make me, start red flags or signals or whatnot. But I'm sure there would be a couple people who'd be like, "Oh, come on, squeeze it in a little bit." But anyway, so going through the book here, so we've got just some distinct information. We pass by a page describing the player character sheet, and we go on and continue through the book. There's a lot to digest here, so I'm not even going to pretend I'm going to go into any detail, just to flip through. Creating your adventurer. Quite a bit of information. Oh, and there we go. Oh, yes. Not one, but two ribbons in a book. Class C, with a capital C. So, yes, take note. It's getting to the point where if you are providing a hardback book in this current day and age of RPGs, if you don't have a ribbon in there, if it's over so many pages, some people are going to start complaining about what's within the pages of the book themselves. These are something that people come to expect now, not are pleasantly surprised by. So what we fight for. So I would go ahead and set that out of the way. And as we continue to flip through this, so nature, skills. Some of these are going to be standardized terms, others specific to the game, I would imagine. So something I'll look into. Arcana, spells, I would imagine. Ritual, maybe advanced spells or something that has to do with a clerical or religious aspect. The Skein or Skein of Destiny, advancements within the game itself, different levels, and just flipping through. Iconic characters. I'm not sure if these are NPCs or just archetypes that you can build your character against. And then reference here in the back. So gear. Let's see here. Survivalist, steward, stonemason. Okay, so these are backgrounds, I would imagine. Different traits to help you flesh out your character. Whoops. Invocations. And we close with other weapons and then the index of headings. And then just another couple reference sheets in the back. Adventure phase procedures as you go through this, utilizing the burning wheel system. Another one that I have that I'm not familiar with. I know various things about it that's been pulled and utilized in other games that I have played in. But it's one of those that sit on the shelf that I look at every once in a while and go, yes, today is the day that I'm going to sit down and read this and, oh, look, squirrel. But having something such as this is going to make me want to, get into it even more so, just so I can absorb what it is. I would imagine that this explains the system itself within it. It's not necessary to have the Burning Wheel book, but I would imagine it would help. And there we go. So that right there, that is the Dungeoneers Handbook. As mentioned, beautiful cover, beautiful gilding on the pages. The only thing, and this is not a review video. This is more just an unboxing. And of course, as I see things, I tend to point them out. I'm not sure I'm a fan of these headers on these pages. They seem to be a bit large, too large for the page. As you can see, they tend to bleed over into the other pages. And they just seem to, I don't know, stick out. I mean, like that right there. This would drive a couple people I know, some editors, insane. That they would go, there would be no excuse for that. So, I mean, like in the previous episode of Titterpigs, where we discuss aspects like this, is this a deal breaker for me personally? Not really. They do stand out. I would think that this would have been something that they would have noticed and maybe shrunk in, because it's hard not to see this. So it kind of makes you think, is this something that they wanted to do for some reason? Hard to say. Everyone's design choices are, some of them are very standardized and others are very personal. So without actually asking and finding out, it's hard to say. But as for me, I would have probably shrunk it down a little bit to make it fit better, to be more uniform on these pages and not kind of stand out like a sore thumb. But that said, that is the Dungeoneers Handbook. So the next one we're going to look at rather quickly is, so we have the Scholar's Guide, or the GM Guide, I would imagine. Another wonderful picture of some adventurers in a snowy environment with some sort of frost giant, or the equivalent of that type of monster you might encounter in this game. And here we are on the back. Blood and treasure, the world is crumbling at the edges, hemmed in on all sides by the savage and pitiless darkness, monsters and other evils that prey upon light and life. Most people huddle behind walls, convincing themselves their civilization will persevere and conquer this land. A brave few have decided to fight against the encroaching darkness, and their fate may determine the fate of the world. The Scholar's Guide contains all the procedural elements necessary to play a game of Torchbearer. How to begin a session, factor the difficulty of tests, apply and alleviate conditions, participate in conflicts, and spend rewards to affect rolls. It contains procedures for the camp and town phases and walks game masters through the process for designing adventures, creating loot, and creating loot, monsters, game master advice, and a demo adventure, The Dread Crypt of Skogan B, are all contained within, and of course we provide reference lists for camp events, town events, and sample twists. It's enough to create an entire world. All right. So once again, a beautiful book. Oh, that's odd. It seems, I don't know, is that same here? No, there seems to be like a, I don't know if that's just a little thicker than normal or whatever, but anyways, I'm not going to focus on that. So kind of flip through. So kind of same design element. As you can see, once again, we've got the titles of the chapters and a larger a calligraphy type font that tends to, kind of straddle the edges of the margins here within the pages. And then we have, so prepare thyself. So this is going to obviously go into a lot more details of the game and how it works. This book is definitely larger than the Dungeoneers Handbook, and so my base knowledge of Torchbearer is, at its heart, it is definitely a there's a lot of inventory management involved, not just with your personal inventory, but things such as seasons and weather and geographical and geological aspects of the areas that you're going in. So there's going to be a lot of micromanagement to a certain degree. I think that I hope that doesn't offend, but this is just my base idea of the game itself. Could be totally mistaken, and of course this is second edition, so some of those things that people have described to me about the game and who have opinions on may be different within here. But still, it just kind of looks like that. There's certain things to. There's something within the game called conflicts, which I would imagine in games such as this doesn't necessarily apply to just combat. Conflicts could be something as as simple as you're traveling through a dungeon and there's a earthquake or a rock slide. Things such as that that requires this particular game to focus upon and the players themselves to have the skills and materials to survive these things that other than just combat. Safe havens and other poor assumptions. Yes, so information on, looks like villages or cities or towns, events within the towns, things to help you, set up and flesh out the area or the town or village that they're in, create an ecosystem. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of focus on, maybe not in depth, but a lot of focus on the little bits and pieces surrounding the area that you're in, other than just the immediate scene itself that they're involved in. But like I said, this is purely an assumption on my part until I actually get into the guts of the game. Bestiary, different monsters that they're providing for you to start out with. Tricks of the trade, your first game. So yeah, so this is the important part. This is the one where you're going to get the designer's opinions on how the game should run, especially this particular game. But like with most games, any good game, at least something that provides GM information and advice, tends to be something that can be utilized in most of your games. And hopefully this is the case also. And then here we have the adventure that comes with it, the Dread Crypt, and flipping through it. And then we have looks like some tables in the back for metropolises, towns, areas outside, religious bastions, wizard's tower. So a lot of things to help you create and flesh out your world. And then helps, then we have some tables too, or some suggestions, some bullet points to help you provide twists for what your adventurers are dealing with. And then a bibliography on the back, which to me, who loves, I love this kind of stuff. I don't profess to be any sort of historian or scholar. I'm just your average guy who likes to read. So, but I'm always interested in the history of things. What are the inspiration of the games that we play? Where do they come from? What is the foundation, the starting point? And not everyone provides this, nor is it necessary. But these definitely within lists such as this. There's always going to be one or two things that I probably may have never heard of that is definitely going to add to the breadth of information that at least I have to pull from or utilize from in some of the games that I'm either running or even playing in. I mean, bibliographies are not just inspiration for how to run a game, but it's also how to conduct yourself as a player. Inspiration can come, from the characters within the stories to help you flesh out the character that you would like to portray. We got games and art blogs, and then another index. And closing, and there we are. That is the Scholar's Guide. 2 ribbons there. Excellent. And so, we got a fly in here. So, moving on to the next one real quick. So, the Loremasters Manual. So this one I'm just going to because this one's going to run maybe a little bit longer than normal, just with all these information here. So I'm going to read the description of the book itself. So let's see here. This is essentially Adventurers Loremasters Manual. Here we go. This is a collection of optional rules. Okay, great. That add depth and nuance to the Torchbearer role-playing game. It includes a new character stock and 3 new classes, new traits, new skills, new invocations, and spells. More and better equipment, and optional rules for dealing with character death. For Game Masters, there are new conflicts, warfare, spiritual bindings, and negotiations, travel and weather rules, rules for building long-term base camps, new settlement types, more and richer loot, and a slew of new monsters. Okay, great. So this would be, I would imagine if you just backed, you would get these 2 books. This would be an optional add-on or something that you would buy if this was at your either retail store, game store, or online. So just as kind of maybe do a quick flip through this book, stock and trade. So this is going to be, so we've got extra classes, so to speak. Don't know if that's the default name for it in this book, but we all know what classes are, generally speaking. We've got invocations, so extra spells. Well, different. So we got invocations and we have spells. So there we go. There's something that the invocations means something than what I thought within the book. Additional equipment. And let's see here. A lot of information on the equipment. Gambling, so things that you can do essentially during your downtime with the adventurers and the outcomes that comes with that. Advance and vanquish. Iconics. So these are icons, archetypes that you can utilize to help you, create your character, to kind of give you some pointers and tips utilizing these. And these can always be NPCs. Additional conflict situations. And kind of flipping through some more terrain and weather. Okay, vessels and vehicles. So base camp. And okay, yeah. Oh, while you were out, things that happen in your base camp. So so there's a lot of little fiddly bits, a lot of little things that I would imagine that you can apply as much and as little as you want to this to your game as you are fleshing it out. Guilds within towns, new towns. So this looks like a description to help you build a new town, or essentially an example possibly. Settlement journal. Okay, so here we go. So this is another thing within this game where there's some details here. So one of your goals, maybe you want to start a new settlement, and this is going to help you flesh out the settlement as you continue to build it within the game. And I apologize if you hear some noise in the background. My dogs sound like they're downstairs wrestling. It's mid-morning here, and they are just starting to rise, and when they do, they will kind of tussle and wrestle for a bit until they kind of get the go-blutes out and go with the rest of their day. So we've got some additional monsters here and the details within. Another index. And so there. Yeah, sorry, I flipped through that one a little bit quickly. But so this essentially is a companion piece for the GM to help make your world even more intricate, or as intricate as you want it to be. Okay. And the next book we have here is we have the Cartographers Compendium. That may speak for itself. Let's see if I guess right. The Cartographers Compendium is a collection of 6 torchbearer adventures that will test players' wits, resolves, and creativity. No, I was wrong. I thought it was going to be additional information to flesh out your world, and maybe involving some sort of aspects of mapping out your world. But still, this is something that will definitely do that to a degree as far as providing adventures, I should say, sorry. So anyways, 6 adventures that will test players' wits, resolve, and creativity. Find your fate in the Tower of Stars. Unravel the mystery of the Ogre of Wheelcrag. In Hand of the Pit, seek the Orb of Power in Thelon's Rift. Explore the caverns and under the house of the 3 squires. Plunder the secret vault of the Queen of Thieves. Puzzle your way through hellish volcanic terrain of Soltchalier. These adventures are full of monsters, magic items, and manifold treasures to delight torchbearer players and keep them on their toes for dozens of sessions. The role-playing game adventures. These role-playing game adventures are designed for use with Torchbearer 2nd Edition. So, okay, so we have here another cover. We have the entrance to some sort of foreboding place without question. This one does not look like there's a warm meal and a bath waiting for you on the inside. And I'm not going to go ahead and flip through this. Well, I'll take a quick look at it because it looks like it's the layout is a bit different than the Game Master and Players books, but I don't want to spoil any adventures here. So it's just kind of a little quick glance. So so we've got pages that combine both box text and also bullet point aspects, which I like both. I do like having a bit of box text to provide some narrative for those who aren't, where improv may not come as easy for them, but also having just little bullet points on things that actually exist within the narrative that you just provided. So it's not an immense amount of information that you have to absorb or relay We've got two. We have two here? Yes, okay, so we've got two for the adventure book also, which is great. So a lot of information here. We've got a very beautiful map. Just some information, just breakdown of the adventures within the book. I'm going to flip through it. Not a lot of artwork. I will say that when it comes to adventures, I'm a fan of artwork. You know, not just from a base level, but to provide some additional context into the narrative, and it always helps. I mean, you know, sometimes the art may not portray what the players are thinking, but it does help, especially if there's some sort of monster that isn't easily described, or a scene that may be a bit busy. But having these really do help with the immersion of any game, in my opinion. And the more art, the better. That's just me. It doesn't have to be every single page, but having more than one piece of art per adventure, to me, is necessary. So, yeah. That's probably the only thing that I've kind of hit upon that I'm just like, maybe they could have done more. But, and the art seems to be a bit... not bad, but a little bit cartoony in its aspect. But once again, we'll see how it plays out within the game itself. So, and what do we have? We have a piece on the back here, a grouping of just skeletons and skulls. I don't know if these is supposed to be undead or just a horrid scene to come upon. Some sort of icy cavern, and some adventurers in some sort of tomb. All right, so there we are. So that is the Cartographers Compendium, a collection of adventures for Torchbearer. We'll set that aside. And I will thank you for those of you who are still sticking through this. I know right now the droning of my voice may not be the best. It's been a long holiday weekend dealing with family and friends, and Thanksgiving. It's just right after the Thanksgiving weekend, so we're all a little bit worn out and tired and maybe not fully recouped from the whole thing. So here we have the Torchbearer GM screen. So what it has is interesting, and I like this. I know it's not going to show well on here, but maybe there we go. We'll kind of do that. So player-facing reference and information. You know, kind of. I'll see if I can spin that around a little bit, or just maybe focus on that. So on one part of it, we have conflict reference, and which is obviously is there to help with the players, and then we have other weapons and armor. I'm a fan of GM screens. I am one of the well, I'm not going to say many, but one of those who feel like a GM screen is not something that is necessary, but nor is it this weird kind of aspect of a line being drawn or a divide between the GM and the players. It's merely a foldable piece of cardboard that provides a reference for the GM, and in this situation for the players also, and allows you to, if there's certain things that you don't want them to see, it helps with that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm secretly rolling dice and fudging stuff behind the walls. I mean, you can still roll out in the open. These screens are small, so I mean you're not hiding or cowering behind it. It's not like that. It's going to create this. This force field of opposition, elevating the GM to a position high above the players, while the players are in constant question of whether he's actually doing what he's supposed to do. I know other people feel that way. That's fine. No big deal. And there's other people who just feel like, having the screen in front just takes away from the relationship of, that's going on around the table. Once again, fine, but to say that they're utterly unnecessary, I totally 100% disagree with. This is information that is there to help, and so you're not constantly flipping through books. And if you feel that the screen is something that when it's upright creates a divide, and just lay it flat on the table. But anyway, so this is a wonderful it looks like it is a wonderful GM screen. I can't say much about the information because I don't know the game yet, but it does provide a lot of reference where I've seen some bad GM screens that kind of, the decision as to what they provide on there is questionable at the least. But I do like the idea of, and I've seen this rarely in other GM screens, but if there's relevant player information to have at player side, if you're going to use the GM screen, it helps. It definitely helps. And let's see here. Let's see the image of it. So yeah, so that's the wonderful, welcoming entrance to some sort of area that, like I said, is not going to provide you a bed and breakfast on the cover of the Cartographers Companion. But we have some adventurers looking forth at this, and there seems to be a lot of people coming out to greet them. I'm sure with gift baskets and other items to assist in their transition into the halls of horror here. So yes, wonderful little GM screen. Nice little add-on. And what do we have here? We have some Chitzer tokens to punch out. These look like they are one-part tokens to utilize in maybe a map and other things to help keep track of items. And then there's a turn tracker on the GM screen. Okay. Oh, okay. So this would come out and pop up on the GM screen. So, cool. Once again, not entirely sure, how these would be utilized within the game, but they're there for a reason. And, whoops. So last we have in here, we have this little aspect of a drawer. I'm just going to hold it up right here and see if I can slide it out. Come on. There's a little bit of friction. It comes out. And what do we have in here? So we have a little bag, and we have some other dilly bops. Wow. Okay. So it's been a while since this was actually since the Kickstarter completed. So couldn't tell you what these things are, but right off the bat, they are cool to look at. We have a little stand here. Okay, so this looks like, maybe if I can hold it up a little bit, there we are. So it looks like a way to track a lot of your, track a lot of stuff in your inventory and the usage of them within the game itself. That obviously plays into the rules and can definitely change the outcome of the situation that you're in. We have candle, lantern, torch, dim light, and hit points. So things to track these. We have light and hit point tracker. And we have this particular part of the stand, which I'm sure would be more clear once I read the rules. And so yeah, so this is a nice little thing to, whereas you would probably be tracking on a piece of paper to help the GM and possibly the players keep track on their resources within the game. So that is neat. We have a very... Wow, I'm not sure what my dogs are doing downstairs, so I may cut this short to see what the hell's going on. We have a very small deck here. This deck contains 4 armor cards, 8 condition cards, 3 light weapons, and 21 weapon cards. So once again, things to help, that's going to allow you to keep tabs on your resources within the game, as opposed to just, scraps of paper and notes that can easily get lost or whatnot. We have... this deck contains 2 sets of 12 action cards. Okay, so an action deck. This obviously is something that can help assist within the game itself. So I don't know. This obviously has something to do with the rules, action cards and whatnot, like within things such as a lot of the free league games where these cards aren't necessary, but they definitely help. I assume that this is what these are used for also. And we have here a wonderful little bag with the logo on it. Yep. And inside we're going to have, ooh, wow, quite a few 6-sided dice, specialized dice here, which, and they're wooden, so they're very light but sturdy. So these are something that definitely can be utilized within the game. These will be mine. No players can touchy. And I'm not sure what's within the paper here, but okay. Let's see here. Wow, these are really packed. Okay, so I think, all right, so these are cool. These are very nice. I'm not going to pull them all out, but these look like coins, currency within the game. I don't know if these were made just for fluff, to kind of help with the immersion of the game, which is nice. And these can be utilized in a variety of other games that has things such as tokens or ways to track things like banes and boons and whatnot. Do they have some aspect of the game? I don't know. I'll find out. But they are very, very well made. Very, very, very well made. So beautiful, wonderful. I'm gonna set those aside, and so that is the end of everything that came in the limited edition Game Master set of Torchbearer Second Edition. So yeah, I'm not going to put everything back. So we're going to go ahead and end this here. So thank you for popping on here and watching me unbox this thing. This is a lot to absorb. So something that's going to need a little bit of time to go through and take a look and see what this game is all about. And just off the bat, just with all these wonderful things that are at my disposal, this would be something that I would definitely want to bring to the table physically if possible someday, to be able to fully enjoy all these wonderful little toys and doodads that came with it. But so yes, so once again, thank you for joining me in another completely unprofessional unboxing. My name is Scott. You can definitely find me on Twitter at Hail Orchistorchis. And definitely check out the podcast, Titterpigs. You can find that on any podcast service, it seems. We've covered all our bases on that. And you can see our latest episode, which covers things such as expectations within the books that we provide. Artwork, layout, design, the information, how the information is utilized within the game, so on and so forth. You can hear my opinion and Keith's opinion within that. And if you do go there, definitely give us our opinion on the podcast. And I know I don't do this enough, but pass the word. This is just a little video that I do for fun. So definitely not looking to create a kingdom of subscribers, but it would be nice to get to the point where I can personalize the URL, and also hopefully someday to the point where I can actually include messages within YouTube itself to send out to the people that are listening, which looks like is a great aspect of it. But that's 1,000 subscribers from now, so maybe someday. But for now, just happy, spread the word. People are interested in what I'm opening. I'll be doing a different kind of videos as things go along in between the unboxing. So and may also have a tie-in with the Titterpigs podcast that I'm on. So this is Scott. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you at the next unboxing. Take care.